What is up, everybody? How's it going? My name's Cody.
Okay, Google, what's the weather?
Right now in Springfield, it's 46 and cloudy. Today, there will be showers with a forecasted high of 51 and a low of 37.
Sounds like a hard workout. Let's go.
Okay, so this is not my typical content structure, but it is something that has been just a huge moment in my life, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I wanted to see if maybe I can impart some of my hard-earned wisdom, and I wanted to kind of celebrate the moment. So over the last 10 months, I have been working incredibly aggressive to pay off some credit card debt. Now, this credit card debt was kind of acquired while I was attending grad school. It was a product of kind of a need because I was going through school. I wasn't making a whole lot of money. I was working as a grad assistant, and it kind of compounded, but it's not something that I necessarily regret having to do. It was, however, just kind of a big obstacle in my life to being able to do some things that I'm super passionate about, one of which was to be able to transition back from a corporate structured job into the world of yachting. I have this dream of becoming a crew member on luxury yachts, and I knew before I could even consider that I had to take care of this debt. And so over the last year, I've been working really aggressively to do that. And so here is kind of my process, my story, my journey. Now, it's not anything I've learned in school. It's, kind of some hard-earned knowledge. And so hopefully I can share this with you. Hopefully you can take something from it, and maybe you can write down just a nugget or two. And if you find yourself struggling with debt yourself, maybe this can be the solution that kind of helps springboard you. Now, I will say that, I've been blessed with a couple key opportunities, but the overall debt number that I was taking care of was not a small one. It was about $3,500. So it is, definitely something that could impact you, but here's kind of what I did. So first and foremost, what I did was I built out a budget. Now, this took my income, it took all of my expenses, both fixed and kind of variable, and I built out an Excel spreadsheet. It was all kind of a working Excel spreadsheet, and it had everything from rent, utilities, how much I was spending on food. It factored in how much I was paying in gas. It also had, budget lines for like supplements and things like that I was always going to have in my budget. And then it had kind of a other line. So being able to write this out, being able to organize myself and make sure that I knew exactly how much money I was spending on, exactly what I was spending on, it kind of helped me focus in. After I had that, I realized that I was spending about $8 a day eating out. Now, this was because my 8 to 5 job, was in a really small town, and I had to go to a fast food restaurant, and about $8 a day. So as soon as I realized that I was spending, $8 a day, 5 days a week, $40 a week, so almost $200 a month on just fast food, I knew that I could immediately start to save a lot of money. So in recognizing that, I started meal prepping, and it did take a little bit of effort. It took a little bit of time, but I was able to just overall get that cost for food down to about $2 a meal. Now, once I had it down that low, I could more aggressively, more effectively reallocate that budget. And what I found was, not only was I eating healthier, not only was I kind of leaning into a better overall habit and lifestyle, but I was feeling better, and it helped kind of create these micro habits, micro triggers that kind of helped springboard me into some of my other goals. So meal prepping kind of helped push me towards eating healthier and, adding in fruits and vegetables into my daily habits. And I also started buying really nice protein because I had that extra, money in my budget. And I was doing that on top of being able to be really aggressive with paying off this debt, so it wasn't coming at a cost to me. But the next thing that I did was, once I kind of started meal prepping, I realized that there were some expenses in my life that didn't necessarily need to be there. And I kind of zoned in on the fact that when I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed or overworked or depressed, I would kind of shift over to Amazon and I would shop. So I was essentially, shopping away my feelings. And once I identified that trigger, I was able to start, challenging that notion, both mentally for like some self-growth moments, but I was also able to kind of hone that in, and I had to put in place an 8-day rule. So anytime that I wanted to basically purchase something off Amazon, I had to put it in my cart, and unless it was something that was like absolutely needed, I forced myself to wait 8 days. Did I need it or did I want it? Once I was able to kind of realize that there were a lot of things that I just wanted and I didn't actually need. They weren't necessities to my life. They weren't adding that much value. I was able to kind of hone in that spending. And again, this is just a small habit, a small trigger that I was able to kind of rewire over the course of time. So it's by no means something that I just woke up and boom, it was fixed. But after that, I was able to kind of rein in all of those expenses and those added, things that were just kind of hitting here and here. The other thing that I did was, as a product of doing the 75 Hard program, which is a mental fortitude program built and brought to you by Andy Frisella, I had to stop drinking alcohol. And I didn't think that I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I probably only had, a drink once or twice a week at the most, maybe 2 weeks a month. But if you think about it, that was $30 every time. So there's, 50, 60 bucks right there on a, a good month, maybe $100, if I have more casual drinks with meals and things like that. And so because of that program, I stopped drinking, and I realized that there was so much just expense tied up in drinking, and I wasn't really getting value out of it. And so I cut that out. And again, that opened up so much in my just overall budget line that I was able to do. Now, once I, again, kind of reined all those things in, I was able to kind of start doing some things to kind of set my focus on. Now, one of the things that I did was I called all of my credit cards, and I was like, hey, over the next year, I'm planning on being hyper aggressive with my payout rates. Are you able to help me with the APR, the annual percentage rate? Is how much interest they charge. A couple of them were able to do, a little bit, and a couple of them said absolutely not. So because I knew that I wasn't going to get any help with that, I started looking at cards that offered for sign-on entry 0% APR for X amount of months. I did find 2 cards that I ended up applying and being accepted for that were able to offer me 12, 15 month 0% APR on transferred amounts. And so basically I started taking those really high APR cards, transferring them to this 15 month 0% APR card, and then I was saving X amount per month on those monthly interest rates that were just charging me for the sake of charging me. It wasn't paying off the balance, it was just a charge for there being a balance. And so I was able to reallocate almost $50 a month just out of those monthly interest charges, again refunneling them back into payments, which was knocking off that overall balance. And so that was really one of the strong moments for me. Now, I will say, sometimes when you're applying for new credit cards, it can affect your overall score because you're having to have your credit history, decrease in size. It can also be a little bit difficult if you don't have a really high credit score to be accepted to some of those. So some of these credit building skills may not be immediately available. And in fact, those zero APR cards probably didn't come into play until about 6 months ago. And so I had to be really aggressive about continuing to pay and pay and pay until I had a high enough credit score that I could actually make those those offers or get accepted or approved for those 0% APR cards. Now the last thing that I did was I really zoomed in, again focusing on what I could control and helping keep it top of mind. So I got into the habit of every day opening up all of my credit card apps and looking at the balance that I had. So again, it stayed top of mind. It didn't just kind of get pushed to the side or funneled into the back of my mental filing cabinet, right? On top of that, I started using apps like Credit Karma to check my credit score daily. And so I kind of knew if I was, making progress or not. And this helped kind of almost gamify it. It made it fun. It made it a challenge. It made it something that as my credit score went up, I could kind of celebrate. It was really exciting. And if we are able to turn a difficult or mentally straining thing into something that's more of a game, it helps us feel like we're getting more out of it. So that was one of the really cool things that I was able to do, utilizing some free apps, like Credit Karma that pulls that soft credit card history for you guys. And then the very last thing that I want to share with you guys that I was able to do. Now again, I was doing the 75 hard program, and so outside of the program there are 3 phases that you go through. Now, while I was in phase 1 and phase 2, one of the things that you have to do each day is a visualization practice. So you start visualizing how you want your life to be. Now, one of the things that I started doing was visualizing, clicking into that app and seeing that balance set to 0. And I would visualize that for each of my credit cards. And again, I kind of thought this was going to be like a long drawn out process, but as soon as I started doing that, as soon as I kept this top of mind, I started seeing those numbers drop and drop and drop. And it's so crazy because in a significantly shorter time than I thought, I was able to attack those balances, knock them down, and now I am actually seeing come to fruition what I was visualizing. The other thing that I was doing was in my Credit Karma app had plugged in, if I pay off X, this is going to move my credit score to, Y. And so I knew what my target credit score was going to be. And so I started visualizing that. And as all of these pieces are kind of coming into play, I started making progress. And again, slow progress is going to be how we build in those good habits, how we build in those financial successes. My big suggestion for you guys, this was some advice that was shared with me by one of my buddies, as well as my parents, is look at those ones that have the highest APR and attack those first. And as soon as we get those high APR cards knocked out, we celebrate with just something super small, nothing major. Maybe it's treating yourself to a pizza, or maybe it's going on Amazon and finding that $10 thing that you really wanted but didn't necessarily need, and celebrating those small achievements. That way you don't feel like you're just going and going and going and never really getting much out of it. But I started knocking it out from my very high 29.24% APR all the way down until now I'm completely finished with the 0% APR cards. So that's kind of what I did. That's how I was able to be super successful. Now I will say I was able to do this while we're in this strange moment, and I do have 3 jobs, 2 of which they have put me into furlough because they can't operate. And so it's not like I have an increase in income or just this large amount of money influx that I was able to kind of dump at it, and I didn't even use any of that $1,200 that the government was so kind to give me to kind of attack this. It was very much just an active effort in using my resources at hand to be really aggressive about attacking this. Now, this is very much something you can do. This is very much something that is able to be conquered, and I know sometimes we see the elephant and we think, how can we possibly attack this and eat it? And I'm not advocating that you eat elephants, but that's kind of a turn of phrase. How do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time, right? So how do we attack these large things? We attack them in small little increments, one bite at a time, right? And as I was able to do this, I was able to find those successes. I was able to see that number drop, and now we are finally at 0. And that's so cool. I feel like overall I'm both, financially better off for it. I'm both, more intellectually well versed in finances and how to, handle and juggle debt. And I think it's going to pay off when, I'm older and I want to buy a house or get a really nice car, and I have to take out a loan that's really large because it gives me that foundation. And I think that's kind of the moral of this. But if you are finding yourself right in this moment, kind of struggling, not knowing how to get out of it, you can totally do it. And I want to empower you because it's totally doable, and we can get through this together. Now, that's kind of my journey. That's kind of my path. That's what I did, and that's how I was successful. Past that, that's just kind of where I am. Like I said, it's not my usual content structure, but it was something that was so powerful or impactful in my life. I just had to share it with you guys, and I would encourage you, feel free and continue watching my videos. I post at-home workouts, and while I'm working out throughout my day, if I have some insight that pops into my head, I tend to record and share it. And I just want to change the world. I want to make the world better, and I think the key to making the world better is through just a little bit of fitness fun. And so with that, I just thank you guys for tuning in. Please subscribe, share, hit the bell notification, send this to someone that you think might benefit from it, and comment down below if you have your own process, if you've made it through your own struggle, or maybe you are currently fighting to win your own battle with debt. And we can get through this. We can make the world better, and we can overcome debt. And I thank you guys for tuning in. I love you so much. It's such a great joy to be where I am at in life, and I think it's a product of just all these really crazy opportunities that I have, and I want to drive value for you guys. So until next time, I appreciate you guys, and I thank you for tuning in. My name's Cody, and I am so grateful to have the opportunity. I'm so ecstatic that I've been able to share this with you guys, and until next time, I'll see ya.